Awesome. This is a fantastic panel. So glad that DeFi Live has gotten us together here. And I have with me Gray, Phil, and Addie. I should have done it the other way around, but uh, yeah, a bit nervous being here and a bit excited as well. Super nice to meet you all. You guys have been doing some really cool stuff in this space, and just seeing what you guys have been up to, I've been pretty excited. Can we start off with a brief intro on what you guys have been up to, starting with Addie?
Sure. So I don't know how much you want to know, but my name is Addie Wagenknech, and I'm the head of ecosystems and technical ops for the Algorand Foundation. Prior to that, I worked at some other layer ones, and I'm an advisor on multiple NFT projects.
So EVM compatible, right?
It is suggested.
Sorry, Phil. How about yourself? I can't hear you.
Oh no, you have to mime. Like,
Yes.
That work?
oh wait, now it's coming in.
You got me?
Maybe.
You got me now?
Yeah, barely.
Okay. Sorry. I was having technical trouble with my razor. Anyway, my name's Phil
With
Ingram.
your
I'm
what?
the
Sorry, you're having technical trouble with what?
my my razor Keo. It's the camera with the ring light.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
also has a microphone.
Got it.
It's supposed to work. Anyway, I'm the chief marketing officer for a company in Hong Kong called Lepricon. We're a company that's formed from people both with a blockchain and a traditional video games background, including our founder and CEO. Goes back to when he was a producer on Max Payne in the 90s. So we're basically building technology that looks past the current blockchain first gaming evolution and more towards building the sort of technology that enable AAA companies to add blockchain utility to the sort of games they play now, but without the, should we say, non-consumer friendly onboarding process that blockchain currently has.
Perfect. Before moving on to Gray with Crypto University, is it possible, Phil? Can you work on increasing your volume just a bit? It's a little low still. Thanks.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll just look at the settings while you're talking.
Thanks. Gray, what have you been up to with Crypto University? Tell us a bit about that.
Hey guys, my name is Jabesi, and I'm the founder of Crypto University. So what we have been doing really is to challenge the current model of education, and cryptocurrency has been our first step to do that. We built a platform first to sort of help people to learn cryptocurrency safely and get onboarded. Basically, we're trying to appeal to the non-technical people at the beginning, and then we built different kind of courses that appeal to developers, institutional investors, and anybody. And now we're taking this through, jumping into the metaverse. Now we're building a guild. We have members around the world, and we have like over 50,000 students. We're the largest cryptocurrency learning platform. And we think that gaming, especially NFT gaming, is going to play an important role when it comes to accelerating the adoption of the blockchain ecosystem and the metaverse as a whole. So yeah, that's what we've been up to right now. Focus more on the metaverse side of things.
Fantastic. I think taking from the previous panel, in short, I do want to understand how you guys individually define the metaverse as of now, because I find that, like there are so many ways to interpret what it is. Like some people I ask, they say, uh, this meeting that we're having, a Zoom call with a bunch of people, is already a part of the metaverse. Is a Telegram group also a part of the metaverse, or does it have to be an Oculus based realm where you can meet an avatar of yourself? So I'm quite keen to understand how you guys define it. Where does it start and where does it end? Or are we still in that fringe zone where we are still defining it and it's way broader, starting with Addie?
Yeah, I definitely feel that we're in that fringe space. I think the Prior's talk kind of spoke about Facebook and bringing on and coining the term metaverse and working with that and sort of bringing on the mainstream awareness. But I guess I consider the metaverse to be a place where we can meet virtually or like typically through a VR headset or some kind of AR environment. But at this point, I've seen it extend to places like Decentraland and obviously gaming and sort of these more spaces, I think, that dissolve between the physical and the real and sort of looking at it from like a multi-dimensional standpoint.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. What are your thoughts, Phil?
Hear me now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, wait, no.
No,
Oh,
there's something wrong with your cable, man. Like the cable is coming in and out. Is he mad at me? I can't hear him.
I mean, it's kind of good either way. I guess you can't hear them. It's so weird. It's totally
Yeah,
mute.
you're in and out, Phil. We could hear you very well, and then you just disappeared.
Okay, so this is good or bad?
Let it be.
Good.
Okay, great. Um, do you know, it's a very existential question because uh, anything where I'm sitting in Hong Kong, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one of the three that is. I'm not sure how many countries we have between us, but here we are talking, having a perfectly normal conversation. Arguably, that is metaversal. I just made that word up. Sorry. But this ability to come together, irrespective of distance, to communicate. So, from a philosophical point of view, you could say, I mean, half the time in Second Life, half the conversations were actually text chatting, which is basically no different than Telegram. So, I think maybe you can either concentrate on the way it's done. So you have something like Network, which is Unreal Engine and absolutely stunning and gorgeous. You could have something that looks a bit more like Minecraft, or you can have a conversation on here or on Telegram. I suppose is the more important thing the fact that we can come together and we can converse, do commerce and communicate, or is it or is it the particular? Does it have to be in an Oculus Quest? I think we need more. I think you should focus on the outcome rather than the transmission mechanism. But that's just me personally.
Right. And Gray, you had sort of gone into that in the beginning during your uh like when you were talking about what you're doing. What are you guys thinking with the metaverse as it is right now? And while you're at it, I want to sort of book metaversal.com, which Phil accidentally slipped out.
All right. So I think the concept of the metaverse kind of give people an idea of a place, and you see this renders itself in how projects are forming in this space, where people are trying to create some kind of a representation of the physical world in the digital realm. I think that's quite incorrect. I think the metaverse is a time in space. The moment where you prioritize your virtual identity more than the physical space, I think that's a metaverse. So, like when you're on Twitter or when you're on Instagram or you're on Zoom, the time that you spend during this time, and it matters more to have um, a very good Instagram profile, for example, that's the metaverse. The only difference is that now we realize that, okay, the metaverse is not, it's different from the physical world simply because the metaverse is ongoing. So my Instagram profile is still as active when I'm not doing anything with it. So it's kind of like, you have a life on its own in the virtual space that's kind of ongoing, and it needs to be maintained in a certain way. And what we're doing now is kind of just adding value to it, because we have realized that, oh, look, having my existence in in that time, the time that I spend online in these spaces, is as important as my physical life. So now we're trying to, add more aesthetics to it, make it more real, sort of in a way that as humans understand value, right? So we're giving value to things that exist in that time when we're not in the physical spaces.
Fantastic. I think that's a pretty fresh perspective, and I find it pretty interesting as well. One of the ways that I see it actually, if we look at it from a more blockchain perspective, and we kind of define this, it's pretty special, is because the entire connectivity with blockchain is so composable that you can have one wallet, one address, and then you can connect with the same thing on multiple different accounts, right? So that wallet sort of does become your ID in the sense. And now you collect stuff in your wallet, and you can take the same stuff, and it can become gun in one game, and because you can connect it to another game, it might become a pom pom in a cheerleading game, or it can become a sword in a third game. And then, or it could become the same item. If it is a painting, you can hang it on your wall in sandbox, or you can sell it in a virtual NFT market, where you can actually meet people in the virtual space and hand stuff to them, and that kind of corresponds to a deal as well. And like, I kind of want to experience that. Like, that is a game changer, right? Like, you can go meet people in the virtual space, hand them stuff, and you're actually doing a digital deal of a digital item as well. uh, that said, I think you guys have been pretty involved with the gaming side. So I want to understand, we had this whole play to earn started very well with the Axie Infinity. Uh, for for seeing the future, right? Like, that is where I find things to be most exciting. Where do you think the next step for this is? Like, how does one come up with a concept to do better than Axie Infinity? With the Is it the graphics, is it the economy, is it the composability? Yeah, I want to start with Phil on this one because of his hardcore gaming background.
Um, okay, so apologise for possible controversy coming up. I think many people who touch this at all can come to the agreement that gaming could and should be one of, if not the first killer on ramp to a much broader blockchain adoption. Although I don't think it's by the people adopting, I think it's by the developers incorporating it. Um, you know, um, but what we have now, in my view, we have a situation where the blockchain industry is adopting gaming as an on ramp to sell tokens and NFTs, and that is not the big picture. To me, that is the small picture. Um, what has not happened yet is the mainstream gaming industry, the people who make stuff you play on your Xbox or your PlayStation. They have not adopted blockchain. In fact, in some cases, they've done the complete opposite. We saw what happened with Steam. But Steam doesn't want the SEC knocking on its door saying you're selling unlicensed securities. So I think, to me, I try to separate the concept of blockchain utility from examples of use cases like DeFi. Blockchain utility would enable the transfer from sort of, think of World of Warcraft as an example. It's the best analogy I know. The gamers understand all the terms. They kill monsters, get coins, tokens. They get special items, NFTs, or sort of fungible NFTs. They have inventories, wallets, and they go into the big cities, and there's marketplaces where they can sell the stuff they don't want. It all makes perfect sense. But it's the if every time you kill a monster, MetaMask pops up and says that'll be $25, please, to empty its carcass, and by the way, come back in 15 minutes. That is not the future of blockchain and gaming. But the underlying utility, this transition from a publisher-owned economy to a player-owned economy, so that players now can do services to each other. They can create organically developed guilds. That's interesting. But that's blockchain, not necessarily DeFi. And I think one of the things that's very important is that the gaming industry, for you talk to a real game publisher, the one who sells 50 million units or something, the game is everything. The player experience is absolutely everything. The people who made Cyberpunk discovered this when they sent out something full of bugs. The onboarding process at the moment, which is very blockchain. Buy a wallet, get a wallet for the first time, get a Binance account, buy some ETH, transfer the ETH, get another wallet and transfer the ETH over there, and then buy a token. That's not how you put games on an Xbox. So if you're going to get to the mainstream, we have to actually, I suppose Steve Jobs said it best, it's not about building technology and then trying to make a customer use it. It's about trying to build something that customers will use and make the technology fit. And I think in that case, we still have 3 to 5 years. Play to earn will be a huge category, but it's not the mainstream gaming industry. And the opportunity at mass market as that shift to player-owned economies starts to happen, I think that's where it's. I said this earlier in a video. That's like the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies combining. That's where you're talking tens of millions of players, not tens of thousands.
I kind of do agree with you there, but I sort of feel that one of the things that Web3 does, and especially when it comes to cryptocurrency and these play to earn economies, it's really not about including everyone. It has limitations in terms of, so what blockchain does is adds that layer of ownership and transferability, right? Which is extremely powerful. But that said, the fact that there is a rarity of tokens, and let's assume a game comes to a point where it mints 1 million tokens and you need to hold one token to be able to access and play the game, right? In that case, it can never have more than 1 million players. But if the game is good, the economy will always keep going up because more and more people want to pay more, and as people are willing to exit the game, they can sell the token. But this was never possible because there was no ownership and transferability with the Web 2 side of things. So I I totally agree. Games should be better, and the competition will be there. However, there is this thing which has that decentralized finance element to blockchain games, and it will always be there. It may not be yield farming, it may not be staking, it may not be all those things, but I feel there are a lot of interesting aspects besides. I cannot disagree with you about the MetaMask popping up, but that's why for people like us, there's an opportunity right now because people don't want to use that. But we see this as the future because we know these are problems that will be fixed. A lot of people are working very hard on fixing it. Whether it will be Ethereum, whether it will be BSC, Algorand, Matic, whatever it will be, it will be fixed. And 5 years from now, things will be extremely different. We all see that already, and that's why we are jumping into this as well. But I am the moderator of the panel, so I should be allowing the speakers to speak as well. Uh, Gray, what are your thoughts on this sort of play to earn and where the future is headed as well?
Yeah, I think when I came across the concept for the first time, to me it was really profound. I was really excited to learn that there would be a perfect match between labor or labor or time and capital. I'd never thought of a model like that before. So from that perspective, it was really interesting, and that's when I decided to jump into play to earn and building Axie Infinity. Sorry, someone needs to mute their microphone. They're
Yeah,
typing, and it's okay. Sure. Yeah. So when I came across the idea, I was like, okay, this is amazing. Now the what he's talking about is, I think, it reminds me of the subject in 2017 when people used to talk about, oh, it's blockchain, but not cryptocurrencies. And that was the exciting thing. They're like, oh, the coins will go away in a few years, but blockchain will stay. The sound is back again, guys. I don't know who the hell is doing that.
I think we have a woodpecker.
Yeah, they're just typing nonstop.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah.
no, it's not me. I'm on mute. I'm trying to tell somebody to stop.
We just have a woodpecker go.
Okay. It's fine. I'll continue. So yeah, when that happened, I came across the concept of play to earn, and I see where the match between players and capital, comes together, because this world of play to earn or NFT gaming is expensive. The challenge I see, it's not so much about, I think, to predict whether the gamers will adopt this, or it's the token creators sort of trying to attract the gaming community and dump their tokens. It's hard to know how the future will look like. So it's almost like NFTs, right? Nobody understands exactly how they work or what they are and what gives them value, and that's exactly why they're. We know that there is value. Very hard to sort of understand where the value is. And that's why we have seen so many people try to launch their own NFTs using celebrities. And then you end up realizing that, well, the most expensive NFT has nothing to do with celebrities at all. So nobody has really sort of figured it out just yet. And on the gaming, I don't think it will be as simple as a good game like, say, Fortnite. If they just come out and say, "Oh, we're doing our own play to earn, and this is how it's going to work." Uh, it's hard to know whether that's going to work neither. So we don't really know what's going to be the right format, but we do know that, okay, the infrastructure or the prototype is there. Play to earn is a real thing. Gaming is real because people spend countless of hours every day on that. That's human energy, human labor, and time going into that space. So we definitely have to figure out a way to, to monetize that. How it's going to work out, I don't know, but I do know the play to earn will be a part of it. NFT will be part of it, and we're building like building blocks right now. Axie Infinity might not be the main game to crack the code, but I think we're on the right track. We're onto something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what's happening with Axie is also once in a lifetime event, right? Like you really need to beat Axie with a better game, with a better business model, with a better economic model, and really like drastically change that. So I'm with you on it. With the NFT side of things, it's absolutely fair as well. It's very hard to evaluate any of them, but it's hard to evaluate because if you have 98% collectors and 2% speculators, you can evaluate something, right? But when you have 98% speculators and maybe 2% collectors or less, and even the people who are considered influencers or collectors are actually speculators themselves, because they're talking about the floor of the collection constantly, and the price changing on a daily basis. It doesn't matter. Mona Lisa didn't become valuable overnight. Like it's over years and years and years, and so did any other art piece. So we're going to get there. As of now, speculation is so easy, trading it is so easy. Like you can just buy and sell something from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world. And I think that's fascinating. And I think, again, I'm not the panelist, so coming to Addie, what are your thoughts on play to earn?
I mean, I think there's been a few themes that have been discussed that I have similar responses and opinions to. One is sort of looking at wallet integration and onboarding specifically from fiat to crypto. From my experience specifically with NFTs, I've seen a lot of people who the majority of their questions are around just how to utilize MetaMask. And then the knowledge base is such that it's like they think Ethereum is the blockchain and there's no other alternatives, and they don't understand that, like, well, this is proof of work, and if you want to circumvent gas fees, you should look at proof of stake. So my big push has always been sort of interoperability and looking at cross-chain plays in terms of not only gaming but NFTs, because right now I really think that a lot of the blockchains were all, especially layer ones, were existing in these silos, and to some extent there's the layer twos coming out, but the main like game changer will be the person who's like got that first mover advantage in terms of looking at bidirectional bridges and ways to interact with other layer ones and kind of interact and utilize like their specific use case or speeds. So maybe it's like Polkadot's really good at interoperability, speed, and state syncing. And then you can go to Algorand, and we've got really fast transactions that are low cost. And then you go to ETH, where like people are storing value. So you can kind of look at it from more of like a large scale macro view, where everyone right now I think is really in this micro view, and they tend to be like, ETH maximalists and Bitcoin maximalists, and everyone's kind of looking at their specific chain without thinking about the larger play at hand.
Quite interesting. Yeah, I think that's that the cross chain bit is something I haven't personally really experienced, and an experience I've enjoyed quite a bit. So I feel I really want to see where that heads, and it's a thing we've been discussing for 5 years now. Like since Bitcoin prices have been crazy, ETH prices have been crazy, and gas prices, that is, and it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Prices should be up. That means the network is being used. Why not? But there have to be solutions, and people don't want to jump out of ETH for NFT, and especially the ETH collection, like the NFT collectors part. Like they have other options, like OpenSea, I think supports Matic as well, but the movement on Solana or Matic for NFTs isn't there. Like people still like to use
Yeah.
ETH for
I
some
mean,
reason.
yeah, the bridges are quite new, and I think ETH has the first mover advantage in terms of it being sort of established about, they have about a year's runway ahead of everyone else. So to some extent, it makes sense that the majority of people are there, and those ecosystems like Nifty and Super Rare and OpenSea and Foundation, they all like based their kind of entire infrastructure off of ETH. So to some extent, the community is also there, and I've always had the opinion that once the artists and the gamers and everyone starts migrating to those other chains where the costs are cheaper and the storage is more efficient, then
Right.
that's going to be when the whales and the collectors follow.
Makes sense, and it's worth seeing where this heads. I think this will be a very different space 4 to 5 years from now, and the
Yeah.
conversation will be absolutely different. But talking about change, right? So I guess Phil, you are pretty much, uh, in the trenches right now with the build side of things. Like you're working with games, you're building games, you're very involved with that side. How are you looking at the blockchains with the integrations that you're doing within the environments you're involved with right now?
Um, it's funny you should ask that. One of the things that we're trying to solve for this longer term picture. I think we have bleed.
We have a
Oh
Okay.
no.
ghost.
Okay. I think maybe they bled the two things together. I was like going, God, please tell me I don't have a window open. So we one of the problems that we faced is it really depends on the game. Obviously, you can build some games like Axie Infinity around the current way things work. Yes, you may take the money. Yes, you may take the money. Yes, you may take the money. But we built we one of the approaches we're building, for example, we're building custodial wallet technology that is built in C++ to go into Unreal Engine, in C Sharp to go into Unity, and in sort of a Node.js stack for use on the web. Because from a user experience point of view, if there are constant asset transactions, it's not the same when you turn one token into another. Yes, please, I'll change that. Thank you for asking me. I feel safe. But if you're playing a game with a constant, it's the software. You have to sovereignty and user experience are not always on the same end of the spectrum. In fact, they're generally not. So that's the sort of thing we're building. And the preempt to that was the fact that we built our own gasless Ethereum compatible sidechain where we could actually run transactions and the GUI is zero. It's an Ethereum sidechain. It uses gas. It just doesn't charge GUI. So that's been our response. That's sort of foundation to build components on that then make a sort of SDK that game developers for whom the sort of very transactional nature of some of the play to earn categories. I mean, something World of Warcraft like could be very much play to earn, but you'd also call it playing by mining or mining by playing. There's another question about tokenomics. If you launch a big game and you say, right, we're gonna make 500 million tokens and 10,000 player NFTs. Well, that wouldn't have worked for a game, an MMORPG, because the day it's switched on, there's no players. There's exactly zero tokens. The currency grows because people play. And even though you can freely make as much money as you want by killing everything that moves, you still walk into the marketplace and go, oh my God, I can't afford any of this stuff. So I think there's going to be. It's not just the infrastructure to your question is we built our own gas-free sidechain as a basis, but also things like tokenomics. Not all the current tokenomics fit where all types of games that could benefit from blockchain utility.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a panelist who's joining us a little late. Is there a bit of an echo from my side? Uh, Sevolod, is that how I pronounce your name? Hey,
Hello.
hey,
Yeah,
can you hear
that's
me?
correct. Actually, pretty good for a name that hard.
Sevolod, is that fine?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good pronounced. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
It's not an easy name for sure.
I
that's
think we just
perfect.
found the microphone guy. Seems like it was you, right?
No,
Because I
no,
can
mine
hear
was
it now
muted.
that you're back. Oh, then he is back. Whoever that is, he's back.
I I had it muted and was waiting in the backstage, and we sometimes had someone pop in and out in the backstage.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Anyways, so let's talk a bit about yourself. We've already discussed a bit into the future of play to earn. We've discussed a bit into how we define the metaverse, but I think that's one question we can float around with you right now. Can you give a brief on what you're doing with gem hunters, and what do you think the metaverse really is, right? In short.
Yeah. So basically, we are trying to identify trends before they are a big thing, which is it's not easy, but we were pretty early on the metaverse and the gaming stuff with games like Sandbox, project like Sandbox. And we try to educate investors to invest in real projects, real tech, such as just mentioned Sandbox, and there are many other projects out there like Sandbox, and not jump on the like quick money pump and dumps which are popping up right now. And with every trend, you have these kind of projects which just out for like when there's a trend emerging, they just start to creating a bunch of projects in that direction, just like we see now with gaming. And that's something we try to avoid with our community. And yeah, the metaverse for us is it's more than the current gaming scene. I would say it's more in the direction of VR, AR, stuff like that, which will also require an improvement from the tech side, because I don't think the devices we have right now, like Oculus Quest and stuff like that, that these devices are actually good enough to give mass adoption. So there's more that needs to happen before we can get actual mass adoption. But yeah, it's definitely heading in the direction of like being immersive in the game, not just playing it with mouse and keyboard, but actually like having your headset and maybe like special controllers, all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, so now we know where you stand, but you have no idea where we stand. So we win. Coming to Gray, right? Like Gray, I want to know, you've been playing a lot of these, you've been studying the play to earn space quite a bit, right? I want to know from your perspective, give me two or three interesting game models and games that you have seen that are exciting at the moment. You're on mute.
All right, yeah. I was just about to say that, I actually disagree with the fact that, I mean, the idea that I understand in the metaverse, it has to be more immense, but I do disagree that people will be all over with gears and headsets all the time, sort of getting into VR, AR space. I think that it's going to be a balance between where things are now, but we're just going to have a much more richer experience in the
But
virtual space.
but not because he was late. It was you actually feel that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I anyway, but I do think that the gameplay is pretty bad, to be honest. I don't enjoy any of the games, to be honest. There's no game that I've played that I'm like, wow, I can play this every day. In fact, the risk that I think as an investor, do hold by running a guild in this space is that the games aren't that good, and the players are mostly in the low-income countries playing to earn money. Not many of them actually enjoy to play the games. So that's a very big risk. But because the model kind of works, now we'll see game studios that are actually passionate about building games, or real game developers come into the space and make something work. But currently, I think the games are not that good. At the same time, I think you're not going to have many like fully 3D gaming experiences. I don't think it's necessary, because look, you're in a digital space in the metaverse. We're not trying to recreate the perfect 3D reality of the physical experience. We have seen this in gaming already, where the best performing games are like Pokemon, which have nothing to do with recreating or rendering the best looking images at all. It's just the game mechanics and the experience that the gamers actually do get from the games.
Very interesting. I think this
So
is
these
some
basically
reality check that I just got there, and I thought that was a pretty fantastic way to put it as well. I do feel that there is a need for good games, but here's the thing: the moment you go into higher quality games, then you need higher speed internets, then you need higher speed uh devices, you need higher end stuff. And if you're going to spend like $1,500 to buy a PlayStation, and then you're earning like $600. There is a kind of discrepancy there as well. Like I don't know how play to earn. Like do you see parents buying like a gaming console for their kids for educational purposes? Is there anybody who sees this going into a serious economically winning direction? No, I guess
Well,
not.
I think the guilds, the economic problem gets solved by having the guild model, where someone with capital come to the capital on the table, and then someone with time and the skill set, or the time to play, they'll use it. So I'm not really too worried about how expensive the games could be. The other games are already more expensive right now to play. Even Axie, like majority of the players do not own any Axies at all, but there are people who are willing to invest in them and then let them to play the game. So I think that whole labor, time, and capital match will keep on going.
Right. Addie, Phil, Seloward, any of you guys like any of the games, and do you have any interesting games to look forward to in the next, like, coming up in the next 6 months to a year's time?
Addie, please.
Yes. So, oh, you can start if you want.
Oh no, I was actually inviting Addie.
Oh,
She hasn't spoken for a while.
I was just gonna give a shout out to Sticky Cats. I think that's a pretty good game that's on testnet. But other than that, I agree pretty much entirely with the whole kind of limitations of GPU and high quality games, and looking at that from the perspective of cost versus labor. I think is a really good insight.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the trailer for Luvium, which looks very pretty, but it is it does look like another battles thing. Basically, kill the opponent's NFT. I'm really, while that's happening, I'm still on my PlayStation.
Yeah, fair enough. You were saying, Seloward?
yeah. So, as was mentioned before, most games right now, they are either shitty games or like bad mobile games, sort of. So there can be like a few decent one mobile games. For example, I've played Titan Arena (THG) on the alpha and the beta, which was quite fun. But it's not something you can play like for days and weeks. You just occasionally play. But like the potentially big games coming up in the crypto space for me is Gold Fever, which is sort of a Rust type of game. If you played that or seen that, it's sort of like a combination of Rust, Daisy, stuff like that. So it's a real open world sandbox, all with decent graphics, and yeah, hopefully it's going to hold up to its promises.
Got it. Uh, I think we have to wrap up now, but before we do, I just want to hear from all the panelists. Uh, where do you think the real innovation, like if you want to decide, like talk about one place where real innovation was taking place, like a sub segment in the crypto space? Is it NFTs? Is it blockchain gaming? Is it DeFi? Is it individual games? Where is it, the metaverse? Okay, sorry. We are in the metaverse, and there is a virus in our metaverse, I guess.
My
uh
firewall's not
and
working very well.
yeah, this one's a bit tough. Okay, we'll wrap up in 5 minutes. Everyone, just quickly say where you think the real innovation is. What's exciting you the most? Actually, I will start with this one. I was looking at this collection of NFTs called Eponym. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's literally mind blowing. You give a few words, and the AI generates, like, it spits out this artwork, which I thought was absolutely fabulous. And I tested it out so many times. I think this is where the NFT side of things is really headed for me. I could collect those. I have a hard time collecting picture profile NFTs per se. I could speculate on them, but this one is something I found was super exciting. So that's my tip. Addie, next to you.
God, mine is so not. I mean, My inclination is like I'm really fascinated by the concept of post quantum computation and how people are looking at securing things cryptographically from a multi sig like signature perspective. So it's not specifically games, but that's my answer.
Okay. Phil?
Okay. I'm, okay, I can't quite match the IQ level on that one. I'm going to say that I think obviously NFTs are a game changer in many, many, many ways, but I'm always really intrigued not by the packaging of the NFT, the JPEG, but I'm really interested in the underlying utility, the way NFTs can open doors, the piece of the puzzle that they can complete. So I think we've barely scratched the surface of how NFTs will provide utility to the person who holds it in their wallet.
Awesome. Gray, on to you.
Yeah, I do think that the cryptocurrency world itself is still much more heading in a direction that I think is very important. So we have seen how, like, regulation is sort of trying to affect how cryptocurrencies could evolve, and this space is continuously evolving to sort of solve that problem. So centralized exchanges are being attacked, and then the regulators are coming for even decentralized exchanges right now. And the way these guys are building these tools to make sure that, even with regulation, the essence of cryptocurrency is still being kept within. I think it's quite amazing. I've seen some dexes now that are implementing taxation with them, and certain tools for regulations. So I think that's really important, other than what we currently have, like, a lot of centralized exchanges that can simply be shut down.
Fair enough. And lastly, Cello Warlord. Uh, I'm sorry for butchering your name once again, but yeah.
All good, all good. I'm used to that. So yeah, I think DeFi and actually NFTs and gaming both could have a huge impact and bring mass adoption, because DeFi obviously is needed in emerging countries, and to bank the unbanked, get billions of people into crypto. But I think the same goes for gaming, because like the gaming market has been an ever growing industry and it's growing every day. You have esports growing every day and every year. So it also has billions and billions of followers basically all around the world. And if we can get proper games in the next couple of years, probably 2 to 3 years, we should finally get something good on the table. And we would be able to get a proper user base, and through that, people into crypto.
Awesome. With that, we will wrap up this session. Just everybody, if you can say NFTs, and I will take a screenshot of us being here together. 1, 2, 3, NFTs.
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 Please, NFT. Will
Awesome.
you turn that into an NFT? What's going to be the floor
Oh
price?
yeah, do it.
Now I'm gonna send it to you guys, and you make it into an NFT, and then it'll be all on you. I'm I don't. Awesome.
100% happy
Appreciate you
straight.
guys. Really nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise. Bye bye.